Hi everyone. This is Bill. Welcome. And today we're going to talk about the enterprise IT governance and how ServiceNow enables this. This session is about how strategy, risk, and operations are meant to connect inside large organizations and why that connection so often breaks down. When governance is weak, leaders lose confidence in decision making, execution slows down, and risk is managed through explanations instead of control. If governance feels heavy, slow, or disconnected in your organization, this session will explain why that happened and what a more effective operating model looks like. We'll begin by examining common governance pain points. These are not surface issues, but structural problems that undermine trust in governance. Then we'll define the outcomes leaders like you should expect when governance is working properly. So there will be a clear reference at a given point of time. And from there, we'll walk through how enterprise oversights actually functions in practice. Because governance only works when decision paths and responsibilities are clearly defined. After that, I'll demonstrate how ServiceNow operationalizes this oversight model in your daily operations, not as automation, but as a governance control system. We'll close this up with best practices, key takeaways, and practical next steps. In most enterprises, governance does not fail because of missing tools. It fails because of strategy exists, but execution is disconnected. So leaders cannot tell whether intent is actually being delivered. Risk visibility is fragmented across teams and systems, which forces decisions to be made with incomplete information. Decisions become reactive, driven by incidents, audits, or regulatory pressure instead of foresight. Where controls exist, but accountability is unclear. Tasks are managed, but outcomes are not owned. Reporting is available, but confidence is low because leaders do not trust what they actually see. Compliance is proven after the fact rather than managed continuously. These are governance design failures, and the predictable result is that leadership bypasses governance when decisions is needed most. When governance works, it delivers outcomes where leaders can feel on how decisions are made and executed. Is strategy driven execution, where leadership intent becomes visible and measurable across the organization. Governance creates operational stability and risk readiness by servicing risk early while there are still choices. It builds confidence with stakeholders and regulators because accountability, ownership, and evidence are always available. It enables adaptive decision making because leaders trust the information they are using. And over time, it creates organizational resilience, the ability to absorb change without any disruption. These outcomes define what good governance looks like. Everything that follows should support these given results. Enterprise governance follows a clear and repeatable flow. At the top is the strategic oversight authority, typically the board or executive committee defining priorities and direction. That direction flows into executive decision leadership, where strategy is translated into plans. Responsibility then splits. Business value owners are accountable for outcomes and performance. Risk and control authorities define the guardrails that protect the organization. These inputs coverage or converge into policy and control direction, which operational teams execute in assurance functions monitor. Governance defines what must be achieved and most of all why. Management determines how and when. When this structure is clear, leaders do not need to micromanage. and teams will be able to operate with full confidence. Now, let's have a look at this governance model shows up in a daily operations where the intended risk and accountability becomes visible. And let us now switch gears as we move to the demo environment. And what you're seeing is a developer instance. And let us navigate to the application menu of the ServiceNow, and let's go directly into the control objective. Now, as we navigate under policy and compliance and control objectives, and let us filter out by removing and navigating to the relevant information to specific control objectives. Now, on this control objective level, the control objective defines the leadership intent. Approved devices must be identified and authenticated before accessing restricted data. This expresses what must be implemented, not how teams implement it. Notice that this objective is stable. It does not change with technology or vendors. The stability is valuable. It anchors execution even as the environment changes. And as we scroll down, control objective is explicitly linked to a risk. The risk here is device identification and authentication failure. This matters because governance connects control to risk intentionally. Leadership can see why the control exists and what exposure it manages and what is the impact if it fails, where risk becomes contextual and decision relevant. Now, as we move back to the control objective, now let's move to the control itself. The control is owned, its type is defined, its execution is also tracked. And this is where management operationalizes the intent of governance. Is explicit and expectations are clear. This removes ambiguity and reinforces accountability. Now, when governance detects a breakdown, an issue is created. As we scroll down to the related list, unauthorized device access is detected. This is not an IT incident. This is a governance issue. It is prioritized, assigned, and managed through an issue lifecycle, where governance does not hide failure. It surfaces it early and makes the issue ticket actionable. This issue links directly to the control objective, where leadership can trace a direct line from strategy to control to risk to issue, and this is enterprise oversight in practice. No spreadsheets, no manual reconciliation, and removing the translation layers. And what leadership will see is what is happening in real time. Now let us switch gears and go back to the slides. Effective governance is executive-led. Decision and accountability models must be explicit. Design must focus on outcomes, not control volume. Risk must be embedded in operations. Reporting must be provided with context. Oversight must be continuous. These practices allow governance to scale even with complexity. And this is the key takeaways. Governance is a leadership system. Alignment matters more than the number of controls. Visibility is the foundation of trust. Governance must scale with the business or it will be bypassed. The real value of governance is confidence at every level. And this is our recommended next steps. Assess your current governance maturity, identify visibility and accountability gap, aligning executive expectations with your operating model, piloting governance workflows, defining success through KPIs, KCIs, and KRIs. The outcome is momentum. Governance moves from concept to capability. If you've seen value in my demo and presentation, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and join as a member to see more videos like this. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.